Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down a government contracting opportunity in the construction field, and it has a budget of $21 million, and I'm going to show you my process of how I break it down step by step and how you can do the same using AI. So the platform I'm using today is samsearch.co. You can try it out yourself. I'll have a link in the description, but today I aim to show you my process and hopefully learn from the questions I ask the AI and how I usually break these things down so I can get the most amount of benefit in the least amount of time. So once I find it here, first thing I like to do is read the summary, see if my business is a good fit for this or not. So this is an AI generated summary, and I'm able to understand that this is a bid for construction of a new lab and office building. And then the location is in Washington State, and then it has an unrestricted competition project, and then it has a construction budget of $21 million. So to me, this is something that, for example, fits my business. I scroll down. If the description is not too bad, I read that as well. And then for each one of the attachments, if they have names, so this one seems to be the solicitation amendment. I like to summarize that just to get an idea of the attachments. Obviously, I'll only get to these part of the solicitation if I'm really interested. If I'm not, I go back about searching if I recognize from the summary that this is not something I want to pursue. Now, how do we actually use AI? First, let me show you the summary. This way I can get key points and details from each one of the documents without having to read all of it. But to go a step further, what I like to do is actually use AI. As you can see here, it's called Ask Sam Search AI, and I'm going to use it to break down the attachments, the description, and all of the information in this one. Instead of summarizing one by one, I would like to get all of my questions answered in the chat. And I'm going to show you the questions that in most cases would work for the solicitation you're looking for, but you can tailor these based on the opportunity you're looking into. But the first thing I like to ask is, what is the project scope and location? This will give me key ideas about what I'm expected to do, so the project scope, and then I'm getting also information about where it's going to be based. So here I'm getting the exact location, and then I'm getting the project title, as you can see, and then here I'm getting more details, kind of its summary. A lab and office building of approximately 15,000 gross square feet, and then both buildings will be located on the existing Manchester Research Station campus. Okay, so I got a overview. The second thing I like to ask, what are the key details? Sorry, what are the key contract details, including the NAICS code, size standard, and budget limit? This way, all of these details, if they're not mentioned in the AI summary, in this case we know they are, but if they're not mentioned, I would like to know that first before I get into more details about the specific requirements. So here I'm getting the NAICS code. It's a small business size standard, which is good. As a small business, this is a good opportunity for me. And then you see the construction budget, which we have seen in the AI generated summary, is $21 million. And then it's saying that total construction budget for the optional CLINS not established due to unavailability of funds, but bidders are cautioned that price proposals exceeding the stated budget for base CLINS may be determined non-responsive. So we can't exceed the total budget of $21 million in our total construction budget. The third thing we're going to ask is, we got the budget, so we're not going to ask more about the budget, but what I'm going to ask is, how is the budget divided? So let's see the breakdown. If they have that information, I'm going to change this to the budget divided. Okay, so the construction line item numbers, so 21 million, which includes contract line item number 01, 04, 06, and 07, focusing on the lab and office building. I'm going to ask more questions about these because I don't know what these line item numbers are. I should have said what is, but it's okay. What are actually. So here we're getting more details. CLI is the substructure. This includes all work outlined in the design. This one is the shell, all work on the shell of the laboratory. this entails work on the shell of the lab, and then this covers all interior services, special construction, demolition, and then building site work. Nice. Now I have more details about the contract line item numbers, total construction budget, and what is optional and what is not. Gonna go one step further and ask what are the pricing limitation or restriction. We kind of know that there's a restriction that we cannot exceed the mentioned budget of $21 million, but we will see if there's any more limitation or restrictions. So we read this before, which is that these line items that we just saw, the ones for the shell, substructure, interior, and services, this one they have to total $21 million. It's a firm fixed price contract. So the contract price includes all necessary labor, material, equipment, services, overhead. So we have to come up with the price, and it has to be firm and fixed and final, and it cannot exceed that number as we start the contract. The contract pricing will be checked for unbalanced prices, and offerers are cautioned to distribute direct and indirect cost evenly across contract line items. Okay, so we have to divide the budget on the line items above here. Now, what we are going to ask, we want to take this and see if there are any competition requirements and eligibility criteria for the solicitation. Because, as you know, not all businesses are eligible to submit bids for certain contracts. So we want to know, does our business satisfy the requirements to submit a bid for this specific contract? So the solicitation is classified as unrestricted, full, and open competition. That's sweet. And we're getting also the next code is this one. We've seen that already. With a small business size of $45 million, that's the small business size requirement. So what we have to include here, we're getting more into the requirements, which was going to be our next question. But we have to include a list of key personnel, which must include project manager, environmental manager, site safety and health officer, quality control manager. Okay, so we have to include these details. We have to include, I think, our past performances. So we have to show a minimum of 3 and more than 5 past performance examples. So we have to be an established construction company. Obviously, we are not going to get a $21 million contract without being an established construction company. So we want to see a lot of businesses, they like to work with other businesses on a project. So we want to see if there are restrictions on joint ventures, and it's saying that joint ventures wishing to participate must provide details on the role and responsibilities of each party and identify key personnel. So it seems that it's allowed, but we have to provide information about this. And obviously there's misrepresentation consequences. We don't plan to misrepresent any information, business size, or past performances, so I think we should be good on that. Now we want to ask about important deadlines and or submission requirements for the project. What do we need to submit as part of our bid? So here I'm gonna paste that in, and we're getting here information about the deadline and submission requirements. So submission of bonds and insurance, performance and payment bonds must be submitted within 10 calendar days after contract award. Evidence of insurance, we have to submit that within 10 days of the contract award. Contractor's quality control plan, so this one is to 30 days from the contract award. Site utilization plan must be submitted 15 calendar day after the notice to proceed. Then we have temporary lighting and electrical plan due. So we're getting detailed deadlines for everything that needs to be submitted. But I think we need to get more information of what do I need to submit in my bid, for example. And here we are getting information of what needs to be submitted as part of the submission requirement. As you can see here, your proposal and how it should be divided into 2 separate volumes, volume 1, volume 2. I can go ahead and ask, give me details about volume 1. My goal is to break it down as much as possible and in an easy and intuitive way. And I want to know all the requirements. And as you can see here, we're getting the sources for each one of the documents that is relevant. So this way we know which document we need to, this information is coming from, so we can review it even later. So here we're getting information about what needs to be submitted, and they should be organized in two phases. Lastly, I would like to ask a question, which is my going to be my final question, is which document do I need to review to learn more about the requirements? So I could ask it directly about the requirements, but let's say I want to read the requirements for myself, and these titles are making it difficult for me to know which document has that information because there are just so many of them, as you can see here. Okay, so to learn more about the project requirements, you should review the solicitation document for Manchester Campus Addition Construction. So it's this one, not the one I summarized before we started this. So now I know which document is important for when it comes to the requirements. So as you have seen, we were able to break this down into simple, easy to understand messages, and I was able to dwell on more details to get more idea of the requirements, what needs to be submitted, what are the limitations, what things are accepted, what's the budget, what things I need to submit in my proposal, any personal requirements, any deadlines. I was able to capture all of those through the chat feature here. So this made it much easier for me to go through these documents instead of having to download each one of them and review them one by one. So yeah, this is my way of how I would break down government contracts easily. If you want to check it out, I'll leave the link in the description. Go and check it out yourself and save yourself so much time breaking down government contracts. Again, we can do this for many more government contracts on a state and federal level, but we'll keep you with one example. Hopefully, I didn't bore you enough with the details. I just wanted to show you how powerful AI can be used for government contracting. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon.